He's like, I'm going to prison in a couple of weeks. Give me something to remember. I did this one specific card trick and I destroyed him, right? He's like, tell me how you did the trick.
Yeah.
Or I'll break your fucking arm.
Really?
And I said, just break it already. Like, I'm not going to tell you in 5 seconds what took me 5 years to learn. You were a baby and you cried and your mum gave you the bottle. You manipulated her to feed you.
Mm-hmm.
You just didn't know it was manipulation. You use that action. Then you become an adult. Oh, you never do this for me. And no. And you make someone feel bad until they do something for you. Guess what? That's also manipulation. But I realized the techniques that I use for magic and mentalism on stage are the same techniques people use in a boardroom. I realized that I had more to give than entertainment. If we can set up an identity in a person that's listening and they accept that identity, they will act within the scope of that identity. He's like, oh, look, we've got a lot of entertainment at the moment. We're not really thinking of anything. I said, look, what if I give you your watch back? You hire me then? You look down, his watch was missing. He says, can you start tomorrow? So,
ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing the podcast back, the Connect podcast. It's been a minute and we've missed you and we hope that you guys have missed us. But today is the first episode of 2026 and we're bringing it back bigger and better than ever. We have with us an incredible specimen of a human being. His name's Xavier Crow, and from what I understand, he's a magician, he's a mentalist. He loves the way the mind works, and this conversation is one that I'm looking forward to, and I have been looking forward to for a long time because he's a very, very interesting cat. So, Xavier, welcome to the show, mate.
meow.
I wasn't expecting that.
You said cat.
Yeah, nice. So we'll start off, man. We'll start off. Who is Xavier Crow? What do you do?
That's a big question. So one of the things that's really difficult for me that's been like giving me headaches over the last years is trying to find a title that actually fits with all of the skills that I have created over the years. You know, started off as a magician, moved into hypnosis and did shows as a hypnotist. During the pandemic, I was online doing mind reading shows to make a living because, you know, pandemic.
Yeah.
You know? And then, so I kept using the word mentalist for a while. And then I realized my audience doesn't really know what it is. They call it magic anyway. Moved into the world of keynote speaking, getting on stage, teaching human behavior and communication. And so now I'm like, so am I a magician, a hypnotist, a mentalist, or a speaker? Yeah. And it's really hard to find one word that defines it. If I say entertainer, that's great, but that misses the educator part of me. So I say magician and mentalist now. My audience knows magic. They know the word. My aim is actually, more importantly, to redefine what people think a magician is. I don't want them to put me in the box with all the magicians they saw at a kid's party last year.
Yeah.
I want them to know that when they, you know, get Xavier in the room, it's magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just tricks.
We've got Xavier coming in meowing.
Yeah. Meowing.
Beautiful.
Turned into a cat in the first 5 seconds.
All right. So mentalist. Now, what is a mentalist? To the people that don't know.
So magic has like a multiple different avenues, right? So you've got different kinds of magic. One of them is mental magic, right? So that's the illusion of mind reading. When I was young, I actually saw people doing these mind reading tricks and I was like, man, how are they doing that? Like, surely there's a trick behind it. And I watched a TV series called The Mentalist. I don't know.
Yeah, one of my favorite shows with my wife.
Yes.
Never watched TV shows. This was one I got into and then, loved it.
It's great, right?
Yeah.
And then I was watching this character doing these like mental tricks to people and reading people and influencing them with the hands and the behavior and the words. And I was like, okay, maybe there is real mind reading or real mentalism out there. So I went on this journey of studying it and realized that you can really influence people with words and language and you can really read a body. And so when I perform, I'm doing what is called mentalism, which is mental magic or the illusion of mind reading. And sometimes what I'm doing is actually reading minds. So what I like to tell people is anything that you think appears on your body. You can't hide body language, no matter how hard you try. So a lot of the effects that I create on stage is me asking questions, leading questions, trying to get people to think of certain things. And when they are sure they're thinking of something that's free choice, I already know where they're thinking because I've led them there, right? And to figure it out, I use the skills of reading people's faces, or their bodies, their emotions. And I tell them what they're thinking and they're like, you just read my mind. I'm like, sort of.
Yeah. Okay. That's insane.
Yeah.
All right. So, how?
How?
Yeah. Tell us.
What do you mean?
What do you think I got you on here? I want to know.
Yeah. That's a bit more expensive. I can't tell you how I do everything. That kind of ruins it. So a lot of people say, well, why can't a magician reveal their secrets? You know, is it like the code of magicians? And we say that because it's kind of like this cheesy thing that is a code. The truth is, from the people that I respect as magicians, we all think the same way. We don't tell you how things are done, not because there's a magician's code and we have to stick to it, because I don't basically do what anyone tells me. So even if there was a code, the point is, I don't want you to lose that wonder that I create by not telling you how it was done.
Yep.
The moment it's like this, you pull back the curtain and see what's behind.
The
Even
magic
if you close the curtain, you still know what's behind.
Yeah.
And the illusion's gone.
The magic is gone.
Magic is gone.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is protect my viewers from that illusion. If there's someone in the audience, and this is all about crowd control, right? If there's someone in the audience that's shouting out, "I saw how you did that," or "It's up your sleeve,"
Yeah.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
Because, you know, maybe I didn't do it well, or maybe he was just very perceptive. But I only care that that person is doing that because he's ruining it for everybody else.
Yeah.
Not because he's ruining it for me. Like, I'm getting paid anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't want a person, even if they're wrong about what I've done, even if their guess was wrong, they're still creating doubt in the audience's mind, which means no magic. I want people to go, well, I can't explain it. Scientifically, there's no answer for that. It must be magic.
It's like the spark is gone.
Spark is gone.
Yeah. I get that. No, I get that.
My job is to create that spark.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone to dull that spark. If I catch someone in the audience shouting out, like, I saw how you did that. I was like, hey, now there's just two of us that know how we did it. And I'm making my friend. And I put my finger on my nose. I'm like, that's just you and me now.
Yeah.
So we're the only two people in the whole room that know this. And then all of a sudden, I've just used this psychological influence on him. He now doesn't want to tell anybody.
You've diffused the situation.
Diffused it.
Yeah.
I was
Absolutely.
like, whoa, man, you know something that nobody knows. Do you want to really give it away?
It's interesting that just very smoothly being able to diffuse something like that also comes down to understanding human psychology. Because it's like there's a part that the person that's called you out in front of the crowd is seeking some sort of validation.
Correct.
So you understanding that there's a psychological element to it, and there's validation right there that needs to be set.
Yeah.
Calling it out, diffusing it right there and then. I can only imagine how long this journey would have taken to get you where you are, because over the years, I can only imagine how many people in the crowd, like sort of hecklers or people in the crowd that would just try and pull you out. And I think it's something that works hand in hand, understanding how the human brain works to also being able to deliver and crowd control.
Yeah. A lot of it was learned at the beginning. A lot of it was learned in practice, live, right? I've performed for thousands of people. I performed in thousands of events, different kinds, you know, from a birthday party to an event on a boat to a shitty backyard party. Like, it doesn't matter. Growing up, I was taking anything. I was doing anything. Now I'm very much a corporate entertainer. So it's a lot of stage time in front of big audiences. So throughout my journey, and a lot of the time I spent in bars and pubs, there's different characters. Some are more drunk than others. Some are more aggressive than others. I'll tell you a story about that later.
Yeah.
And I've learned that in order for me to deliver the best performance, I must know who I'm performing to first. One of the things that I notice a lot of entertainers, there are some great ones out there who like to script their material. Other ones who script their material, but they're not great. And the reason they're not great is this. They have their material so scripted, they're on a one-track mind that if anything happens in the audience, they're thrown off. They can't be flexible. They can't change their act. Whereas when I get on stage, I might have this, and this planned. Everything in the middle is kind of just made up on the spot. You know?
Yeah.
I know what trick or effect I'm going to do. But if someone in the audience says something or challenges me, says, "Oh, what am I thinking now?" Well, then all of a sudden I've got this new challenge and I'm like, get up on the stage. Let's find out.
Yeah.
And I'll go with that and I'll see what I can do. If it goes wrong, you've seen one of my shows.
Yeah.
Some things don't always go correctly, but it's mind reading. Of course, it's not going to go correctly.
Well, I didn't even notice that, by the way. So you played it out pretty well.
I mean, nothing happened. It was perfect.
No, like there's an element of improv, like actors, like how well actors need to verse themselves in improv.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a thing that me and my friend, we used to live together. We coined this term. Well, there's two terms. One is just run with it, right?
Yeah.
We just say run with it.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
If someone throws something at you, you grab it and you run with it. At the moment you try to push it away, it hits you harder. So for an example, let's say you're in my audience and you're just shouting out and you're heckling me. Well, clearly you said it yourself. This person wants validation. They want people to know that they're funny. They want people to, they think they're the center of attention. They're the main character sort of person. I was like, well, instead of trying to reject them and fight them and trying to beat them in the audience, I'll be like, okay, come up on stage. Let's do something together. I bring them up on stage, and kind of like that other example, I'll make him the center of attention so that he and I are now against the entire room. And then when he goes back to the audience, he's the best audience member of everybody. In fact, he's shutting other people up now.
Yeah.
Because he wants to see what's next, because wow, I was a part of that. And this run with it, this kind of like bring people in. It's like entertainment Aikido. You know? Take the energy and transfer it. As soon as you block the energy, you resist, you get hit hard.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's a concept. That's a perfect concept for life, by the way, and business. Yeah.
Run with it.
Yeah, man. And I think to simplify it and just keep it as run with it, 3 words, using that as a back of mind example of any time you just hit a roadblock or you're in the shit, it's a lot of people, of course, by default would just, have a wall thrown up and there's just resistance met with the situation they're dealing with. A lot of people aren't as adaptable and malleable when they're hit with roadblocks. So that's like you're using it for your entertainment purposes, I'm using it
for everything.
That's fucking life. Yeah. That's pretty good.
When I'm in a social setting, you know, or let's say when I was single and I was in the dating scene and I go up to a girl and she's just being tough to talk to because she's been, approached by 1,000 guys that night and most of them really poorly. You know, and I'm like, I say a comment and she throws something at me. I'm just like, I run with it. She could say, why are you talking to me? You got an ugly shirt. I'm like, why are you trying to undress me with your eyes? I take the comment, I run with it. It's not going to hurt me if I take it.
Yeah.
And that means your joke about me is now mine.
Yeah.
I decide if it's funny or not.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to, and I don't want to, put you down in the same, this is the subtlety. If you want to run with someone who's being aggressive or attacking or trying to upset you or anything like that in this situation, you don't want to win by putting them down. You want to take what they've given you, run with it and show them you're not affected. And if you're not affected, they feel like they can trust you. They're safe with you because, well, this guy didn't attack me back. I attacked him and he just laughed it off.
Man, that's incredible. 100%. I love the way that your mind works because that people feel like their life is constantly ego versus ego, and people, they based on insecurities are just met with, this guy could be having a little jab at me, but it's like we need more people lifting others up and just showing someone else that, hey, I haven't felt threatened by this. Let's just go together in the next step.
So what I learned about human behavior is this one very important thing is we either match behavior or we balance behavior, right? So if you're aggressive to me, the matching is I become aggressive to you. On the flip side, the balance is you're aggressive to me, I play the role of victim instead. Either way, nothing changes. If I play the victim, you have an excuse to stay the aggressor. If I be aggressive to you, you have more reason to be the aggressor. So I amplify it. So the only way to neutralize something is to be neutral. If you're the aggressor, I don't play the opposite character to you because then I give you permission to be that. If a group of people come up to you in the street, this happened to me when I was young. 3 guys came and they pulled out some knives. There was me and a friend. They pulled out some knives and they said, sit on the bench there. And I'm just looking at the knives and I've got a skateboard in my hand and I'm like, I grabbed it a certain way and he's like, don't even try it, and he put the knife closer to me. I'm like, this is not fun. So we sat on the chair, one guy on either side, me and my friend in the middle, and a third one standing in front of us, right? Kind of like watching over us. And they told us to take everything out of our pockets and put it on the seat next to them. And they were just ditching it straight into their pockets. We were robbed in daylight in Hurstville.
Yeah, nice.
And it was nice.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, I can't get out of this situation. And by being a victim here, they have more excuse to be this person, right? So I don't know what came over me. I was only 16 and I looked at the guy in front of me. He had rings on every finger. He had a bunch of necklaces on. And I said to him, so what are you guys up to today? Just like robbing people or like what's going on? And he's like, yeah, man, I've got all these rings. I've got these necklaces. I'm like, that's pretty cool, man. That necklace there's like pretty sweet. Can I have it? He's like, nah, bro. And then he's like, he realized after about, 5-10 seconds of talking with me that he was being too friendly with me. He lost his character.
Yeah.
His character was this aggressive, I've got a knife, to I'm talking with the bro.
Yeah.
And he got the shits and he was like, just shut up. Like he forcefully told me to shut up. And then they picked us up and they started taking us somewhere. I don't know what they were trying to do. They started speaking in pig Latin, like
Okay.
Pig Latin is not a very good code. It's lay, ake, te, them, te, two toilets, te, or some shit. And I'm like, and I just looked at him. I'm like, bro, the toilets are actually that way. We should be going through the alley. And he's like, how do you know what I said? I was just like, all right. So I got out of that situation. They ended up giving me all my shit back. They wouldn't give anything back to my friend. They didn't like him, but I diffused it by not playing the role I was expected to play.
That's a powerful story.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, mate, let's talk magic. Let's talk magic. What's the difference for listeners between magic and mentalism? Is it the same? Is it like a gray area where they sort of overlap each other? Is magic just illusions?
Yep.
I'm still convinced to this day that magic in some form is real, but the logical part of my brain says you're an idiot.
Yeah.
It's just, you just haven't picked out what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because I've just been so convinced.
That's a perfect place to be for an audience member.
Well, I'm your best audience member, man.
Yeah, you're great.
Yeah. So what is magic and what's it look like to you? What's the journey of that?
I'll put them side by side, right? If I put magic on one side and mentalism on the other side, magic requires dexterity, requires props, requires sleight of hand, moving things, moving objects, hiding objects, doing things quickly, doing things slowly, distracting the mind, distracting the eyes, primarily. So it's illusions, right? If I make something vanish and reappear, it's that I've made you see something that wasn't there. Moving into mentalism, we've got distractions and we've got deception of the mind only. We don't have props as often. We very much, I carry around a pen and a notepad, maybe a pack of cards, but if I do mentalism with a pack of cards, I don't shuffle very fancy. I do everything very plain because I want people to distinguish the difference between this is a magic trick where I'm using my skills to deceive you, and this is a mentalism where I'm using my mind to deceive you. And so the gray area in the middle is magicians that are transitioning into mentalism or trying to dabble in it. They do mentalism effects that are essentially magic tricks. So there's a prop, there's a technique, there's some sort of process that gives them the information while looking like it's mind reading. At the further end, which is much more difficult to achieve. Now I use a mixture of all of them, by the way. But at the other end, there are mentalist effects where you're actually using your language to have people generate images in their mind, and because of the way you use your language and what you're observing on the person, telling them what they're thinking without any props, without any. There's nothing to hold on to. So oftentimes I'll do magic and then I'll say in my show, that was magic. Let me show you mentalism. And I make a separation so people know this is in the mind now. This is not something I'm tricking you with my hands. I'm actually in your head.
Yeah.
And because I separate it, then people can experience the two separately. Because if I just do mentalism in my magic show, people are like, oh, that was just a trick. I don't want them to think that. I want them to be like, how did he get in my head? And with mentalism, even if people figure out how I did it, it's still impressive.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you did what? Like, you told me to, you gave me all of these options and I felt like I had a free choice, but I didn't. Like, I'm sure I had a free choice. I'm like, well, I used verbal gymnastics to get you there. There's a lot of, you want to see an example?
Yeah, let's go.
Do one example. I'll do something else for you later.
Go for it.
All right. So let's say you've got a pack of cards, right? We've got ace all the way through. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, forget about the suits for now. We're going to get a suit later. Just think of only the values, all right? Just choose a value somewhere in there and stick to it. Keep it in your mind.
Sure.
All right? Now, I don't know where you started. I don't know if you started on a number or a picture, but wherever you started, stay there, all right? If you started on a number, jump over to a picture, right? So Jack, Queen, King. If you started on a picture, jump back to a number, all right? Whatever you did, just do one time. So you somewhere new. So I don't know where you started. I don't know which direction you jumped. Okay. If you're currently on a number, after jumping, jump to any other number. If you're on a male picture, jump to the female. Anything else, just stick with it. All right. So wherever you are now, just stick with it. So whatever the value you're thinking of, okay, it could be ace all the way through to king. It could be something. All of the values have a suit that matches it. So for example, a lot of people think ace, they think of spade. Ace of spades is really popular. So whatever value you're thinking of, put the suit that matches it perfectly, whichever one you think matches it perfectly. Have you got it?
Yep.
So now you got a card in your mind and a suit. You got a full thing.
Yep.
All right. Now we might get you to jump again, but we'll see. What suit did you go for?
Hearts.
Hearts. And
Yeah.
what's the total card that you've got?
What's the total card?
What's the card?
Queen of Hearts.
Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
Now this is all free choices. I don't know
Yeah.
where you started. I don't know where you jumped. I don't know what suit you were going to choose.
Mm.
But somehow, even with all of that, you chose the Queen of Hearts, and I had this one card sitting here in the
Shut up. That's bad.
You see that?
Alrighty. Okay. I was very close to picking Queen of Diamonds. I should have done that. All right,
what you didn't know, this is for anyone watching, and I'm just going to give a little, because I think people like to know a little bit.
Yeah.
I know you might have chosen the diamonds, and if I wanted you to choose the diamonds, I would have got you to choose the diamonds. But what you didn't see, and again, I learned this by watching The Mentalist, and you probably recognize this, I said just pick a suit that matches.
I didn't even notice that.
Of course you didn't.
So
if you noticed it, you wouldn't have done it.
So to whoever's just listening and not watching the video, Xavier just put his hand in a form of a heart shape, and I didn't even notice that. He just tucked it right under his chest. But yeah, so you did that. So
I did that. I said just you can watch the video back.
Subconscious me would have noticed that in the background.
Correct. Yeah. If it was too high,
yeah,
you would have avoided it because
would have been
you would have thought I was doing it.
Okay.
So if I want to get away with convincing you of something, it has to go under the radar. Yeah. Any higher wouldn't have worked.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. Okay. That's pretty cool. Tell us about your experience over the years. When you first jumped on stage, when you first did some crowd work, what was that like? Because it's not as polished as Xavier is today, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? The first time, your first decent gig?
My first decent gig. So I used to do close-up magic, which means just walking around pubs and restaurants.
Mm.
They used to pay me once a week, come in, do a couple of hours, leave.
Yeah.
And that's all I did for a while until I met a full-time magician when I was about 18. And he showed me how to make it into a business, how to actually book gigs, make phone calls, make business cards. He taught me how to run it.
Yeah.
And for a couple of years, I was hanging out with him until I decided to jump on the stage. So, on the stage, the first time I got on stage, I'd have never felt nerves like that before, right? Actually, nerves didn't go away for about 10 years. Like I had stage fright for 10 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It didn't go away, but it didn't stop me from getting on the stage, right? The first experience was actually I put together an event. I had two comedians, my mentor, the magician, and myself. So I was doing close-up magic in the room. Then there was there's a comedian, another comedian, and then the main act, which was my friend who was a magician. So I went around the room doing close-up magic. There was a dinner as well. And I stole, I think, 5 watches from people, right? And then I got up onto the stage and I said, I just want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for letting me take your time. And if you didn't notice, I took your time and your time and your time and your time. And people just came up to take the watches back. That was my first stage piece.
Yeah. How close did people get to you after that?
Yeah. Man, when people know that I can pinch watches or wallets or stuff, they freak out. They just want to stay away from that. Let me touch them.
Yeah.
And then the same thing happened when I was learning hypnosis. People wouldn't look me in the eye. I was like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
There has to be some sort of agreement for hypnosis to work. But people have this weird way of thinking when they know that I can pick pockets or when I say mentalist, they're just like, don't look at me. Don't
speak to you with the eyes closed.
They speak to me with the eyes closed. I was like, listen, if you don't want me to know it, don't think about it.
All right. So you picked out these time, you gave them back, and then what happened?
Then what happened? That was it. I just did that one. That was at one piece. I got up. I think I maybe did one very simple trick, and then went into that reveal of the watch steal, and then introduced the act. After that, I actually collected a few different effects to put together. So there was like a simple card trick. I did something called comedy magic, right? Because I found that the illusion shows, so magic and illusion are also different, right? Illusion is what you've seen when there's a box, there's an assistant, there's some swords, like shit. There's a lot of props, you got to take a truck to get to your show. I didn't like it. I didn't like all that extra weight. I didn't like the big expense and the fact that I can only do a few different shows because you need the right size room. You need a lot of setup. So I did comedy magic. It packed small. It played big. I used people in the audience up on the stage with me. I like to interact. And as you've seen in my show now, I still do it. Even though it's mentalism, I still bring in people up on the stage. I don't want to be alone on the stage. I actually like having people up there. It gives a sense of randomness, improv, like you said.
It's
like I don't like. Very often I get a good person on stage, but every now and then someone gets on stage and they don't really play along so well. And I've just got to work it out.
Yeah. Run with it.
Run with it.
Yeah.
Run with it.
Some things to run with are more of a pain in the arse than others. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Some people go out of their way to ruin it for me. With magic, it's a bit easier to kind of get around that because I'm in control of all of the trick. With mentalism, because I require a person to follow instructions or listen carefully or answer certain things, they can actively stuff it up by doing the opposite of what I say. If I was like, okay, think of the first picture that comes to your mind, and then they'd be like, and they wait for ages. I know that they've gone through 5, 6, 7 pictures. Now I might have set it up so that I can lead them into a certain direction. And if I give them that sort of freedom, then I can see that they're purposely doing it differently. I'll figure it out. I'll run with it. I'll get around it. But if there's something specific that I want, and I want to, for example, the Queen of Hearts, if I wanted to get you to think of a different card or whatever, even that card, and you didn't follow my instructions in the speed that I was doing them, you were taking way too much time, I'd feel less comfortable knowing that you were following me. You still had free choice. But I was doing something behind the background to like push you.
After that, what did the journey look like? How did it build upon the years? How did the confidence build upon the years? Yep. Where did the journey eventuate into where you are today?
So most of my skills and my confidence came from bars, right? Bars and pubs.
Yeah.
So let's say I'd go into a bar. I'd see one of the waiters or the bartender, and I'd do a quick trick. And they're like, wow, that was amazing. I'm like, yeah, is your entertainment manager here? Right? And they were like, well, we have the floor manager. I said, can I speak to them? They come over. I said, I want to have a meeting with you, and I want to just show you a bit of what I can do, and maybe bring some life to your Wednesday night, whatever.
Yeah.
So we have a meeting, we sit down, and while I'm talking to the the manager, I might do some tricks. At some point, I'll steal his watch, There was this one bar in Chippendales called the Rose Hotel. And I went there, and the barman saw me the manager, the owner, saw me do some tricks. And I said, so do you want to hire me? Like, I can come once a week and, on a Thursday and do some magic here. I just live around the corner. And he's like, oh, look, we've got a lot of entertainment at the moment. We're not really thinking of anything. I said, look, what if I give you your watch back? Would you hire me then? He looked down, his watch was missing. He says, can you start tomorrow? So
that's a perfect strategy.
It's a great strategy. It's great because he was umming and ahhing about it. It's hard for people to know what kind of effect it has on the audience until they see it. Oftentimes in bars, I'll say, let me come in for an hour. Don't watch me, watch the audience.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I do. See how happy they are and decide if you want that every week.
Yeah.
And if you don't, give me a Coke and I'll leave.
Yeah.
Like it's all good. Like 1 hour is on the house.
Yeah.
So bars and restaurants, I go in, sometimes I see the same faces every week. So there's a couple of bars I did for like 4 years straight every Wednesday. And you'd see the same faces. You'd see some drunk people. You'd see loud noises. I had to learn different environments. How do I get attention really quickly? How do I interrupt people in a way that makes them want me to stay? How do I let them know that I'm going to leave in a way that makes them feel comfortable with knowing this guy's not going to bother us for too long? Like there's all of these subtleties you need to remind people of. So when I go to a group now, I've got this standard approach. I walk up to a group. I'm like, hey guys, I interrupt them. Like, I don't care who's talking at this point. If it's a group, if it's a couple, I might watch to see the body language, see if they're in a loving conversation or something serious, and I'll leave them alone. But if it's in a group and I'm doing walk around, hey guys, my name is Xavier. I'm here to do 3 things today. 1, interrupt you. How am I doing?
Yeah.
They laugh. So I've already interrupted them. I've told them that I'm supposed to be doing it, and I've got them laughing in less than 5 seconds. Now they're relaxed. They're laughing. Like this stranger came and made me laugh straight away. Yeah. The second thing I said, so I'm here to interrupt you, do something incredible, and then walk away. Now they know exactly why I'm there. I'm there to interrupt. I'm there to do something amazing, and then I'm going to walk away. This one is the most important. They know I'm going to leave. So if they give me their attention, they know that they don't have to try and get rid of me later. The same with girls. If you go to pick up girls in the club, it's like, hey, just a quick question. I can't stay long. I've got some friends, and then she relaxes because you're not just some creepy guy that's trying to talk to her. Yeah. You're actually a genuine person. I'm not going to stay long. It's all good. If you stay longer because you like each other, that's a different story. So same with audiences.
Yeah. Okay.
I learned a lot of a lot about human behavior
Mm.
in this close-up environment. Then I just translated it to the stage.
Are there courses out there? Is that human behavior is a massive thing, and
Right.
understanding different ways the mind works and how people are wired to think and do things. I can only imagine there's that, like, of course you can watch videos and read books about it, but are there courses specifically for different parts of the way people operate?
There's many courses out there.
Yeah.
They range in price. I'm creating a course myself. So if people want to learn human behavior, they want to learn body language, they want to learn effective communication techniques, they can come to me. My course is designed to get people confidence in their communication.
Yep.
Right? Because at the end of the day, people want confidence and they want to be able to communicate better. Right? Like, how many people I've heard say, I could never get on a stage, or I shit myself every time I go to a board meeting and I've got to present. It's like, wow, people really don't.
Yeah.
For me, it's second nature. I forgot that
Now it's second nature. Yeah.
I forgot that it was scary once.
Yeah.
I realized I've gone through over 20 years of it. I want to give back in the form of, you can do it. These are some techniques. This is some activities that you can do to actually get the confidence now.
Yeah.
And these are some things to pay attention to. One of my keynote presentations is called the 3 N's of effective communication. It's about noticing, how to notice things in people when you're talking to them, how to name it so you can point it out to them, point it out to yourself, neutralize certain emotions that come up when you're talking so that you're not being affected by the gameplay. Remember, aggressive victim, that sort of thing, and navigating what to do once you have that information. So I noticed this body language about this person. I've named the scenario that's in front of me. I've got skills to do that. And how do I navigate? What do I do next?
Yeah.
So that's just a keynote presentation, which extends into a course as well.
Yeah.
So, man, people could spend their whole life learning communication and still get better.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
Yeah, I don't get tired of it.
And it's like, I love this because to me, it's so obvious that it's been a compounding effect of all these different types of learnings that add to where you're at the moment and how you present and how you execute on stage and how you work with the crowd and understand subtle behaviors and all that. So that's testament to you. That's really impressive. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay. So tell us about a memorable situation where you've dealt with, tell us about a story that you'll never forget. It could be a difficult person in the crowd or an aggro person in the crowd or someone that you've just been met with resistance.
All right.
Something that stands out.
Yeah, this is great. So I have a card trick that I do. And lately when I'm about to do the card trick, instead of just performing it, I want to suck my audience in. That's mentalism taught me to really suck people into my world, right? So when I'm doing that specific card trick, I'll tell this story before it because this story happened because of this card trick. All right. So I was working in a bar in George Street about 15 years ago, and they paid me to come once a week and just mix with the patrons. I went to this group that was sitting by a window at like a bar along the window, 4 stools, 2 guys over here, a little bit of a gap, one really big guy here, and his girlfriend next to him. So I went and stood in the middle, and I said, "You guys want to see some magic? You know, this is how I approached back in the day." And then I started to do a trick. I did a trick with some rubber bands. Now this big guy, he was like clearly the alpha, the leader of the group.
Yep.
And he's like, "That was crap.
Yeah, nice.
Do something better." You know? And I was like,
"Thanks, dickhead."
Yeah. All right. And I'm like, all right, challenge accepted. So I pulled out another trick and I did it again. He's like, "I've seen that before. You know, that's crap. I've seen that on TV or something." He's like, "I'm going to prison in a couple of weeks. Give me something to remember." And I'm like, this guy's just wank. You know, like who says shit like that?
Yeah.
And I looked at him and he's got like a tattoo of a machine gun on his neck and he's got like all tattoos up his arms, big, muscly guy. I'm like, maybe he is going to prison, you know? Like the way he was talking, people don't talk like that to each other. Like the way he was talking was like unnecessarily aggressive. And when he spoke, his two mates kind of went quiet. They wouldn't say anything. They're like, yes, man. They're either laughing at what he said or nothing. And so anyway, I was like, okay, fine. I had ego as well. My ego was, I'm not going to leave until I've shown them something that is impressive to them.
Yep.
That's my challenge.
Yep.
So I pulled out a pack of cards. I got him to choose a card. I got someone else to choose a card. I did this one specific card trick and I destroyed him, right? And he looked at me and he's like, how did you do that? I was like, can't tell you. And he's like, all right, cool. And he shook my hand. He grabbed my hand, squeezed it, pulled me off balance, and then he pressed his forearm into the top of my forearm and started bending my arm backwards to try and break it.
Yeah, well.
And I'm like, my first instinct when I'm in a tough situation is to laugh. Like,
yeah.
This is a joke.
Yeah.
Like, so I tried to pull my hand away and he pulled it back and he started really pulling my arm up. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? He's like, tell me how you did the fucking trick.
Yeah.
Or I'll break your fucking arm.
Really?
And I was like, what? I was like, dude, what the hell? And I tried to pull my arm away and he pulled it even tighter. His boys went silent. Like their fear made me more afraid. I was like, these friends are scared of this situation. Like they know he was serious. His girlfriend is sitting there trying to stop him. And he's like, she'll have sex with you if you tell me how to do the trick. I'm like, this guy's a jerk.
Yeah.
Like this guy just doesn't respect anybody.
Yeah.
And I hated him at that point.
Yeah.
So I tried to pull my arm one more time. He wouldn't let go of it. So I did the next thing that I could think of. I don't know, again, where this came from. I took a deep breath in, I let it out, and I relaxed my arm completely relaxed. I gave him my arm and he could feel that because I was resisting first. And I said, so go ahead and break it. And he just kind of paused. I said, just break it already. Like, I'm not going to tell you in 5 seconds what took me 5 years to learn. Either you break my arm so I can get to the hospital or you let go so I can leave. And he short-circuited. He didn't know what to do. He let go of my arm. And he's like, I respect that. And I was like, I don't give a shit. I took my cards. I went to the bar. I said, give me my money. I'm not coming back, and call the police on that guy.
Yeah.
And I left.
Yeah, well.
I ran with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was before I knew to run with it. My unconscious knew.
Yeah.
Don't resist it. It hurt too much to resist. And I got away with it by relaxing.
Yeah, well.
Big lesson.
How long ago was that?
15 years.
Far out.
Yeah. I stopped working in bars shortly after that and started focusing on making business cards, handing them out at bars, and then pushing myself towards private parties and weddings.
Yeah.
And then at those events, that would be close up and then a stage show as well. And I would hand more business cards, and then people would call me up, and then I'd go to corporate events and so on and so forth. And
yeah. Well,
just hustle.
You mentioned before, that's an incredible story, by the way. Well done. That's insane. You mentioned before there was 10 years of you getting nervous before you went on stage.
Yeah.
And while you're on stage, you're still nervous. Now, 10 years is a long time.
Yeah. It could have been longer.
Plus or minus, whatever.
I felt the nerves deeply. Even now, like I was on stage over 2,000 people not a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And I still get the nerves, but it doesn't affect me. Like there's no...
That's where I was going to go, because I've been on both sides. I haven't spoken in front of 2,000 people, but I've spoken in front of a decent crowd, and knowing in the past how fearful I was to put my hand up and speak or ask a question in front of a decent crowd, knowing how much resistance I had to do something like that, to then speak comfortably in front of the crowd. In both stages, I was nervous, but then there was a part of me that just pushes through and runs with it. Yeah. How'd you sort of push past the fear? How'd you push past the nerves? Because nerves are different when you're speaking in front of 50 people.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how much more intense, or I don't know, I would assume there'll be a lot more intense if you're speaking in front of 2,000.
Yeah. So there's two answers to that, right? The first answer is mindset. And I learned this lesson going on roller coasters as a kid. So I went on roller coaster. Before I went on roller coaster, I used to be afraid of it. My dad wanted to go on it with my little brother. My brother was too young to be afraid. And I was like, no, that's scary. That's scary. Like I'm scared of that. That was essentially the same fear as stage fright, just constant nervousness, shaking, don't want to step forward. And at some point, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether I was convinced or I decided just to do it, just to see, or my dad said something in that light to kind of like push me onto it. But I got off it and I really liked it. Right, like it was scary, but it was exciting.
Yeah. And
I realized at a very young age that excitement and fear feel the same prior to the moment. Right. Both of them give a little bit of an adrenaline rush. Both of them feel right there in the sternum, in the stomach. Like a little bit like butterflies or whatever it is. the same nerves happen just before you're stepping on stage as just before you open a gift someone gives you, or just before you get on a roller coaster. Like fear and excitement, or nerves and excitement, feel so similar that I can actually just decide what I call it.
Yeah.
So I just call it something different. So for many years, I just called it excitement. Like, I'm so excited to get on stage.
So you're reframing, because I've heard this before, where they're the same receptors going off in your brain, but it just comes down to how you name it.
Correct.
Yeah. So
what
you're
preparing.
Yeah. So in moments where you're nervous nervous, you would reframe it in the moment. Say, I'm excited.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Okay.
This is exciting.
And is it a practice of that?
I feel so excited right now. Like at the beginning, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, of course.
But you do it enough times and you start to realize, well, all I did was change what it's called. So like if I was laughing, every time I laughed, I said, this is so sad. Eventually, I could actually train my brain to link sadness to laughing. It would take a lot longer, but you could do that
because it's a trained muscle muscle. Yeah.
Nerves and excitement's easier because they're both the same. Sadness and happiness are too far apart.
Okay.
But nerves and excitement feel so similar that changing the meaning of it is quite easily accepted by the mind. It's not so far fetched to say, well, that's actually it feels like I'm excited. Actually, you start telling yourself that. The more practical takeaway, and this is for anyone who wants to get up on stage in front of a lot of people, is I learned this from a speaking mentor, and that was your duty on a stage, first and foremost, is to serve the people that are listening to you. This for me was a massive takeaway. If I get on stage thinking, do I look good? Am I going to say the right thing? Is it going to be okay? What are people wondering about me? It's all about me, and there's no doubt I'm going to feel nervous because I have an expectation and I'm outcome dependent. I need it to go a certain way. If I go out on stage and say, okay, I'm delivering value. I've got something to give these people. And if one person in this audience walks away with value, I've succeeded. One person. If it's 2,000 or if it's 2, if I can give value to one of those people, then I've done something, because you can't necessarily give value to everyone because people see you differently. So don't try.
Absolutely. I really love that you said that. A story I can relate to with that, and someone in my life has given me similar advice. There was always a fear around uploading videos or me speaking to the camera or me presenting in front of a crowd. And with different ways of trying to diffuse it over time, there was one penny dropping moment of information that was said to me that just changed the whole approach. This guy said, it's not about you, it's about them. If your focus is about delivering and adding value, then your mindset shifts to not focus on the inside and your insecurities. It's focusing on delivering and giving it to them, delivering to them. So yeah, that was a penny dropping moment for me. And it was funny you said before about the roller coasters. I was pretty scared of roller coasters growing up. I hated them. Every now and then I'd give it a crack. I'd jump on a roller coaster, say, did I get over that fear yet? And then I went to Six Flags in America.
Man, I really want to go there.
Then I went there, and I went there with a few mates. We were in America for a trip, and we went to Six Flags, and I knew I hated roller coasters, but I wasn't going to put my hand up and say, fuck you guys, you guys go. I don't like roller coasters. I just ran with it. I just went with the flow. And when I got to Six Flags, I'm like, I've got to jump on these roller coasters. And after the first one, I told myself, if I put my trust in this machine completely and I tell myself that I won't die, then I think I might actually enjoy it. And then the second one onwards, I loved it. And I became a roller coaster junkie on that day. I was just one after another. And I reframed what that meant to me, what fear meant to me, because it became excitement. Yeah. Which is really, really interesting. And then from that moment onwards, I learned a massive lesson.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah.
And roller coaster, I think, is a great example because that's an actual moment where fear and excitement are identical.
Yeah.
I'm scared of a roller coaster, but the fear is irrational because it's safe.
Yeah.
So why are you fearing something that's designed to be safe? It's designed to be exciting. So
yeah,
it's already there,
Yeah, that's it.
The stage is another one. It's like that. When people get on stage, this is another thing.
Mm.
When you go onto a stage, if you try to memorize all your lines, you are already going to be self-centered, because I must remember it all. I can't F up. I can't get it wrong. I need to remember X, Y, Z. That is gone beyond serving the audience. It's no longer serving the audience. It's making sure I don't mess up. That's again, me focused. So my recommendation to people is understand your content. Speak about something that don't try to speak about something that's not your expertise. If someone invites me to go to a keynote presentation, right? I did one for 700 people and they said, we want to talk about X, Y, and Z. I said, that is not in my field of expertise. I can talk about this. I can talk about gaining agreement. I can talk about influence. I can talk about human behavior, and I can, involve some of your topic into that to make it like flow, but that's not my field of expertise. If I gave a speech on that, it's going to be terrible. So I went up there the day before the keynote. I was still making slides for it. Like I'd never presented that keynote before, and I presented it for the first time ever in front of 700 people. Did I do well? Absolutely, I did well, because I knew the value of what I was going to give was going to give people something in the audience. My slides had a lot less information than most people have a lot of writing.
Yeah.
I just had points. Why? Because those points will give me access to the information that I already have. I'm not trying to speak about something that's not familiar to me. So, memorizing lines, that's going to cause you can't.
Setting yourself up for failure before you start. Yeah.
You are. Like some of the best speakers I know, look, they practice enough so that their lines memorized are second nature. It's a different game altogether. But if you're getting up on stage to present something first, second, third time only, trying to memorize the lines is going to, it's going to get in your way.
Yeah.
Give yourself point forms to talk about and know your subject.
Yeah.
And you're going to be a guy in that presentation. Yeah. Came up to me afterwards. He said, mate, I recorded your whole presentation on a voice recorder. I was like, oh, why did you do that? He said, I really liked how it was going and I wanted to keep it. So what are you going to do with it? He said, well, I've already put it into ChatGPT and transcribed it. And then I got ChatGPT to use your lecture to make me a coaching script for my under 18s football team.
That's bad.
And I was like, man, I'm like not even mad about that. Like I'm so flattered I can't actually be upset. And I thought, that's the one person in the audience I affected. I didn't need to know that everyone loved me after that.
Yeah.
In fact, I not only just gave value to that one person, I literally changed his life. I gave him a direction to go with. He took my information and made something of it. And I was like, well, if that can happen to one person in 700, that's a big thing to happen to one person. Not to mention all those other people that came up to me over the weekend and said, oh, I used that thing that you said on stage, or I've been saying X, Y, Z when I talk to my family because you said that would help with the, and I was like, okay, I'm giving value. I can get on stage now, not worried.
Did you always want to present on stage? Like, I mean, not in magic or mentalism. I mean, did you always see yourself becoming a keynote speaker and talking about influence and human behavior on stage, delivering to a crowd, wanting to add value, or was your focus in your journey always just wanting to entertain?
I've always wanted to entertain.
And then it just evolved?
Yeah.
Evolved naturally.
It's always been magic.
Yeah.
I've learned other things. I'm a great musician. I'm really, interested in hypnosis and the arts of the mind. I'm interested in painting. I used to do spray paint art and stuff like that. Like I found a lot of hobbies.
Yeah. But
nothing that I really wanted to pursue except magic and entertainment. I love that. And so your question, funny you ask, the reason I became a keynote speaker was because I was invited to a podcast, the very first one I ever did about 2 years ago. And someone said to me, come on my podcast. I want to ask you some questions about mentalism. And I was like, great, I can talk about mentalism all day long. And so I sat in front of her, and she didn't ask me specifically the questions you're asking me about, this detail about mentalism and magic. She bypassed that in like 2 minutes and started saying, so how do you use mentalism in business to influence people? And how do you use mentalism to know if someone's lying to you? And how do you...
I was going to get there. Yeah, it was written down. I was going to go there.
Right. We can talk about it. But when she asked me those questions, they were business specific questions. I'd never answered questions like that before. But I realized the techniques that I use for magic and mentalism on stage are the same techniques people use in the boardroom. They're the same techniques people use with staff, with management, the same techniques they use on sales calls. And I realized those techniques were universal, and I knew them because of my history. I realized that I had more to give than entertainment.
Yeah. Okay.
So I started telling people I'm a keynote speaker before I even did one.
It's a powerful moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm a keynote speaker.
Yeah.
I'm a mentalist and a keynote speaker. And I was like, really? Cool. We've got these events. I'm like, sweet, I'll speak.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. Well, let's dive into that. Just briefly touching on how would you use mentalism to influence or affect your business in a better way? When I'd assume it would be when you're dealing with team, when you're dealing with employees. I actually didn't have it written down. I stole that from the podcast that you went on. So but it's a good question.
Yep.
Can you tell when people are lying to you in your face?
Catching deception is notoriously difficult, right? Because it can be faked, right? There's a lot of things that if people are really good at lying, or if they've believed their lies so strongly, they'll give off honesty signals, right? If you're convinced, like some people forget things happened and they'll be convinced that it didn't happen the way that it did. And then when you're talking to them, like, no, that didn't happen. I didn't do that. But they're really sure that it didn't happen. For some reason, they had a mind blank. They're going to show you honesty signals. So you'll never be able to catch the lie. The best way to catch deception is ask a question. If you notice any change in the person, physicality or in the face, ask a follow-up question, or ask the same question again later, but phrase it differently and see if the answer is the same. And that's one way around it. You know, people will remember things in a lie in order. So if you say, I went here, then this happened, and then later on, you ask them to kind of tell it to you backwards, that they're going to mess it up because they can't remember it this way because they learnt the lie this way. So that's a simple technique for lying.
Yeah. Well,
when it comes to business, you were talking about teams. Part one of my 6 keys to influence, which is one of my courses and one of my talks, the 6 keys to influence is identity. All right. So what identity do we give the person speaking to us, and what do we want them to believe about themselves? If we can set up an identity in a person that's listening and they accept that identity, they will act within the scope of that identity.
What's an example?
For example, Patrick, you seem like the sort of guy who's really easy to talk to. Like you have an honest heart. And I know that when you listen, you actually take on information, you think about it before you respond. Now, I've given you a whole bunch of identity. If you accept that, from now forward, I will expect, if you really accept that, I will expect that you listen to me, you take on the information, you think before you respond. So that's a way of giving identity to people within conversation. You say it to a team. Now, I know you guys are really hard workers. Sometimes things don't go well. Like you can give some negative identity so that you relate to them, and then you throw in a whole bunch of identity that you want them to have. You say, look, I know we haven't been working, so effectively lately. Some of you haven't met your KPIs, but I know each and every one of you have it in you. I've seen the level of work that you can create, and I know you're capable of so much more. And they're sitting there. As soon as they start nodding, you're like, yeah, they believe that. So now they know that they're capable of more, and they'll act like they're capable of more. Like, do you agree that you guys are capable of more? Yes. Excellent. Next time they come in, their KPIs are down. I'll say, you're capable of more. And they're like, yeah, I am. I'm like, show me. Now they're identifying with capable of more. So you're always creating identity with people. We're doing it all the time. If someone's talking to you negatively, like a partner, and you say, you always do this, you're actually unconsciously setting them up for an identity that you don't want them to have. So that's why when someone does something you don't like, you're better off either not talking about it in the moment and talking about it to them when they're in a good mood, or instead of telling them off for doing something bad, so say someone always leaves clothes on the floor. This is like a classic relationship example. Instead of saying you always leave clothes on the floor, now you're essentially forcing an identity upon them. Next time they pick up their clothes, you say, I love it when you pick up your clothes. Like, it's a positive reinforcement. They're more likely to do it again. So we're always creating identity. And if we're conscious of the identity we're creating, we can actually have people around us that fulfill those identities.
Yep. That's, to me, makes sense. And there's a lot of value in that in itself. How often do you feel that people will not operate that way? So is this a success rate of 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 6 out of 10 when you're using this concept to speak and try and influence?
Yep. So
what do you think?
I'll just go really briefly over the 6 keys of influence, right? So the 6 keys of influence is a talk that I created for that big keynote presentation. I won't go into all of them. Each of the keys are techniques or actions that you can take within yourself and that you can encourage in others, which will cause a level of influence in the person, right? So I have to be a certain way to influence you. I can't just influence you. If you don't trust me, and trust is one of the keys, if you don't trust me, my influence over you is a lot less, right? So how do I create the trust? And when you've got trust, then you've also got a bit of identity, and you've also got a bit of, what's another one? Influence, framing, framing a situation. So influence is an anagram, by the way. So
okay, yeah.
To remember my talk, I've just got to remember the anagram. So
yeah, perfect.
If you've got these different things in there, sorry, it's not influence, it's impact. That's why I got it wrong. Yeah, impact.
Yep.
Mindset. If someone has the right mindset, they want to be influenced by you. If you have trust, right, and you have mindset, and and you have a positive mindset with them, like the sort of person that will follow instructions, or the sort of person that is open to instructions. If you have the right mindset, you have identity and you have trust. All you need is 3 out of any of the 6 keys, and you can start influencing people.
Okay.
If you have all 6, people just walk around doing what you say.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not always possible. You might not be able to get trust out of someone, but you could get some identity, and you could have a good mindset in them, and you might have something else.
Yeah.
And so could I give you a percentage of how often it works? Not really. But what you can work on is yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Become influential rather than someone who influences. You know? Instead of me trying to get people to do what I want, I become the person that people wish to follow. Then I don't actually have to force you to do anything. If I have integrity, if I'm authentic, if I'm honest, if you can trust me because I do what I say I'm going to do. If I'm very, very careful with the way I give you identity by saying to you the positive things I see in you as often as I can, and noticing them, and you agreeing with those things, then I might ask you for a favor. You'll do it. I don't have to force you to do it. I have to manipulate you. It's not manipulation. I'm giving you the best experience that I can from me. And when I ask you to help me, you'll help me because it's me.
Yeah.
Not because I influenced you. And a lot of people think influence and manipulation are like making people do what you want. It's not like that at all.
The distinction between manipulation and influence is the intention behind it.
Yep.
That's what I learned.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I use the word manipulation often. People, you can see in their body language is like this tense. They push back a little bit. They might squint their eyes. Manipulation's bad. I'm like, it's not bad. You were a baby and you cried and your mum gave you the bottle. You manipulated her to feed you. You just didn't know it was manipulation. You use that action. If you keep doing that, let's say you grow into a toddler and then you cry and your mum gives you a toy, then you've actually started to learn that if I act this way, I get what I want. Then you become an adult. Guess what you do? Well, you may not cry anymore, but you have a hissy fit. Oh, you never do this for me, and blah, 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 and you make someone feel bad until they do something for you. Guess what? That's also manipulation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, mate. It's coming up we should be wrapping it up pretty soon. I can have this conversation for a long time.
Well, good.
I do want to ask you a question because I know you were a massive Mentalist fan, and I'm talking about the TV show. And a part of that was Patrick Jane, which is the main actor on The Mentalist. He used to act as a psychic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, no. On the show, part of his...
Oh, right. But his previous life, that's right.
Yeah. His previous life on the show, he would manipulate people into thinking he was a psychic to get people to pay him.
Yes.
Do you think psychics are real?
Loaded question, but that's good. I like that question. I have yet to find evidence of true psychic ability. I have friends around me who believe a lot in magic, like I'm talking about creating the world around you sort of magic, like think
like manifestation.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Okay.
I agree. That is very magical in my opinion.
Yep.
If I focus on something long enough and that it appears in my world, in my reality, that there's nothing more to explain that as in something freaking magic, like I thought about it, it happened. I focused on this thing. It exists moments later. Like I expect someone to call me. They call in the next 3 seconds. Like
it's energy
what you
and
want. Something energetic. And that's quite magical to me. I see that. And I have experience of that. When it comes to psychics, like I'm talking to a dead relative, I've had zero experience where that is actually real. I can create illusions of that.
I was going to say, knowing what you know in mentalism and hypnosis and psychological understanding, there's a lot that you know that the average Joe Blow wouldn't know.
That's right.
Now,
So when I see a psychic,
yeah,
I see mentalist techniques.
the same. Well, I was going to say, would you say they would have the same ability
Yeah.
to just?
So what I think of psychics, especially the ones that I've come across, like, look, I might be wrong. I'm open to being wrong, but I do want more evidence first. Like, people can believe in God without true evidence, but I think God is a big subject, and people have to experience what they think God is. You don't just have to believe in God. Most people who really believe, they know God on some level. They're like, no, it's within me. I can feel this. I know this exists. And for them, that's very real, right? Whereas with psychics, they also have the same experience. They really believe that they are one. I went to a psychic not long ago because an ex-girlfriend went, and she said, they told me this and this, and it was so accurate, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, that's fascinating. I'm going to go pay $200 and go see this person. So I went there, and this lady sat there, and at the beginning, I didn't want to give her any free information because I know that when I talk to you, even a yes or a no gives me an answer later. So if I ask you, are you thinking of this? And you say no, I guarantee now I know you're thinking of this. Right? So I can actually use your yes and no to give me more information. I also know that people forget things that don't go right. So as a mentalist, if I make a guess and it's wrong, but then later I guess correctly, they'll forget the wrong guess. They'll completely forget it. They're like, he just knew what I was thinking without any help. And I was like, man, I asked you like 12 questions and I got them all wrong. And that led me to the answer. And I forgot all of them. So when I sat with this psychic, she was doing the same thing to me. She was like, I'm getting this visions, and she's doing all this weird stuff. And I'm just like,
the fingers
getting crazier by the second, actually. And she's like, they're telling me this and they're telling me all of this stuff. And she was saying, I'm getting the letter A. And I'm like, okay. I wouldn't say yes. I wouldn't say no. I'd say, okay.
Yeah, there's a letter A in my middle name.
What are you going to do with the letter that you found?
Yeah.
And then after I realized she wasn't really getting any information that was anything, I wasn't resisting, but I wasn't giving free information because I know the game.
You really wanted to battle test.
I wanted to battle test, right? And because I wasn't there to debunk her, right? She can do what she wants.
Yep.
She gave my ex-girlfriend some closure and some like thing to think about, right? Like it worked for her. She's kind of doing the same work as me. She's healing people, even though it's a bit, in my opinion, a bit convoluted, a bit diluted in some way. She's doing a good job in her own right. So after I realized that I wasn't sitting in front of a real psychic, I started to let some information slip, look, I have a girlfriend overseas. Her dad's not well. And she's like, yes, he's got a problem in this area. I'm like, what? Where all his organs are? Yeah. Most people who are sick have a problem with their organs, So I was like, okay. I recorded the whole thing. I listened to it back. I took it to my ex-girlfriend. We're still friends. And I said, this is where she tried to get information out of me. This is where I didn't say anything. This is what happened when I gave her information. And my ex is like, damn it. Yeah. I said, did you get a recording? So let's listen to it. It's like, see, you gave her a yes there. You gave her a no there. You gave free information there. Yeah. But you forgot because it's happening too fast. I'd love to know that there was a real psychic out there, but like I said, I've not experienced it.
That's really, really interesting. Yeah.
And I'll still see another one someday.
Yeah.
It's just for fun.
Battle test that one.
Yeah. And sometimes, when I watch a psychic, or sometimes I watch on YouTube psychics, and I watch them and I'm like, you cheeky mother. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to use that in my show. And I just take that technique and I use it in my show because I know what they did. They said this, they caused that reaction, they got the answer, boom.
Yeah.
Let's use it.
That's sick. Yeah. Well, mate, was there anything that you wanted to go through, or was there anything you wanted to bring on the table before we start wrapping this up?
Yeah. So I have, in the last little while, decided that I'm going to expand my horizons and move from just being a solo self-represented entertainer to creating an entertainment agency of my own.
Yeah, nice.
That promotes mentalists, magicians, and MCs for now. If I get enough phone calls asking for whatever, they might become part of it. But I know this industry very, very well. What I like is the idea that instead of just trying to sell myself or promote myself all the time, I'm actually been working with other magicians and curating like acts that I really like. And this opportunity now is I am in my field at a specific caliber, a specific level. My audiences are going to be a very specific audience.
Yeah.
There are a lot of audiences that call me up and I either don't want to do the show or they don't have the price point for what I offer, but I have other entertainers that I can fit in with them. I don't want to say no to my clients anymore. I want to be like, if you need entertainment, I know exactly who's going to fit the bill for you.
Yeah.
And I can create this service industry, service in my industry rather. And I really like that. I really like that I've taken the focus of just trying to sell myself and actually promote other people. And the conversations I'm having are much bigger now. I feel like I'm being in the world more like a company than a freelancer.
Yeah.
And I see big things moving forward.
It's a powerful shift, man.
Yeah, it's a powerful shift.
Yeah. I'm excited for you,
Happened
Jordan.
very recently.
Beautiful, man. I love that. All right. To wrap up this episode, and thank you for your time. We usually have a last question that we ask our guests, and you may or may not know the answer straight away. But if you do need a moment to think about it, you can take your moment. If you were to invite 3 guests to a dinner, and any of these 3 guests could be someone from your present, someone from the history of humankind, someone you've known in the past, who would those 3 guests be and why? Anyone in the history of humanity.
So the first person would be a mentalist by the name of Darren Brown from the UK. He's the reason I moved from magic to mentalism.
Yeah.
So he has a stage show, which he performs, multiple stage shows. You can find him on YouTube, the full show. And he uses almost nothing on stage.
Yeah.
You know, a big notepad, a pen, some frisbees to collect people from the audience. And he's inside people's heads. And he's probably one of the 5 performers on earth that fool me. You know?
Yeah.
I just, there's some things that he does. I'm just like, I don't know how you did that. He's the master showman. So be able to pick his brain. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Who else? I would love to have a sit down with Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
He uses NLP and language in a way that no other coach in the world does. And I wouldn't mind seeing, you know, how he speaks one-to-one. That would be pretty epic.
Yeah.
And who else? One more person. I don't know. I can't think of another person. A third person.
You need to find a third person.
A third person that I would bring to a dinner. I would say Julius Caesar.
Julius Caesar. You know, you're like the third person on the series to say Julius Caesar.
Is that so?
I think so. Third. Yeah, I'm pretty sure third, which catches me by surprise every single time. Maybe the second, but whatever.
I think because. No, you know what? I'm going to change that.
Is that because I said?
No, I'm not going to change that. Well, I said Julius Caesar because I had an idea of why I wanted to speak to him, but the same idea applies to someone more relevant.
Yeah.
I would actually sit down with Adolf Hitler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to know from his perspective what really happened from his perspective. The perspective, and I don't know what happened in history. I know what we've been told.
Yeah.
And I know that we've been told what happened based on the victor. We never get the victim's perspective, right? So, or the victim or the loser, right?
Yeah.
Whoever that person was. So he is famous in the world for doing crazy, great things. And I say great by large things, you know, not great as in good.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know from his actual perspective, one-on-one, what really happened in your eyes? What was your motivation? How did you move millions of people to act in a specific way?
Yeah.
He was a master at language. He was a master at communication, hypnosis, NLP.
Yeah.
He could move people with words.
Yeah.
Why? How? And what do you say happened? You know, not what did the winners say? What do you say happened? That would be really fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely say you're the first person to say Adolf Hitler.
Yeah. Most people don't like saying the name, but look,
it makes sense.
For me, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
A person is remembered for time immemorial, like as if I wouldn't want to get inside their head and find out why they did what they did. And you know, I'm not saying I am an advocate for anyone. I'm just saying that's an interesting character in history.
Yeah.
You know,
no, absolutely. That's insane
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Xavier, this was an incredible talk, man. Thank you so much for coming and being the first podcast guest for 2026. Yes. This was a really good episode, man.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
I appreciate your time. Guys, we are looking forward to the guests that we're going to be bringing on to this year. And like always, we appreciate you jumping on and having a listen and showing your support. Xavier is going to be one of many, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast. Thank you. Thanks, Xavier. See you.
Cheers.